So, good day to you wherever you are in the world, and welcome once more to the Barclays English Premier League, and specifically to another pre-Christmas sellout game at Old Trafford, where the prevalent topic for discussion is this: are Manchester United still genuine title contenders? At start of business today, they were 4 points behind Arsenal, 5 behind Everton, 9, crucially, behind Chelsea. It is a deficit the like of which United have made up in the not-too-distant past. What about this time under that leadership? When Roy Keane flexes his bicep, others tend to respond. He is a fierce leader of men, and he will certainly expect today. United are in pretty impressive nick. 6 unbeaten in the league, Palace alongside them, 6 league games without a win. It is those who aspire to win it against those just proud to be in it. It's been said 1,000 times, but it is a wonderful arena. Particularly when night falls and the flashbulbs are evident. And it ought to be a mismatch. Manchester United have come into form. That fabulous hit from Diop at Craven Cottage denied them a 5th straight league win. Nevertheless, it is 14 points from the last 18 for those in red. And despite the absence of 1 or 2 big names, there are still plenty of stars there to shine tonight. There will be some familiarity in the pre-match formalities here. This is, in fact, Crystal Palace's 2nd trip to this ground in a little over a month. Seems a bit harsh on them. Having said that, only 2 of the 22 players starting here started the League Cup tie here 5.5 weeks ago, which Manchester United did duly win. Well, changes in the Manchester United side were pre-advertised by their manager, who has offered both Cristiano Ronaldo and Gabriel Ince a mid-season break. They are replaced respectively in an otherwise unaltered team by Darren Fletcher and Quinton Fortune. Of course, still no Van Nistelrooy, or come to that Sahar, or don't forget him, Solskjaer. So Alan Smith and Wayne Rooney remain, on paper at least, in charge of goal scoring. Headline team news now for Crystal Palace. The big Uruguayan centre-half Gonzalo Sorondo, who hobbled prematurely out of his full Premier League debut against Arsenal early last month, returns now so that Tony Popovic drops out. Wayne Andrews might have hoped for his full debut today, but he has had a bit of flu and he starts on the bench. Fourth from top, plays 4th from bottom at start of play. 4th from top doesn't really satisfy the Old Trafford regulars. 4th from bottom come May would probably have Palace folk partying in the South London streets. Based on expectation and experience, Tony, there really is only one winner here.
Well, you would have thought so, but we've said this before, haven't we, about this Crystal Palace side? We hadn't given them much of a hope at the start of the season, and they have surprised us with their resilience. Certainly with the goal scoring form of Andy Johnson as well, you have always got a chance, and there's no doubt that Ian Dowie will bring his side here and say, right, no one gives us a chance, let's go and surprise a few people.
And he has shown himself to be one of the brightest man managers around. It's Gary Neville levering the ball up the right-hand side for Manchester United. Sorondo across from centre-half to deal with it. And Neville trotting forward to take the resulting throw. An important day at the office for that experienced international, who has played football in Belgium with Standard Liège and Italy with Inter Milan. This is Gary Neville, very much a one-club man. Booted away by Fitzhall, taken down by Roy Keane. Sylvestre, Neville, Fletcher. Smith eased off it. Manchester United have the free kick.
You can already see from the start of the game how Crystal Palace are lining up. Quite a few teams now employing this five-man midfield. Palace really have done it to good effect. Routledge on the right and Coulter on the left. No doubt trying to support Andy Johnson when they can, but initially there's no doubt they're out there to make sure, give nothing away early on.
Danny Granville, of course, once an employee of Manchester City a little while ago now, had a couple of years in this city between 1999 and 2001. Michael Hughes is another former Manchester City player who got a touch there. Neville forward, taken away by Colker, up towards Johnson. Johnson went over Scholes in the centre circle. Andy Johnson, who is still the top English-born striker in the Barclays English Premier League. His 9 goals have all come this season in the league. He has 48 goals in Crystal Palace colours now. It's all climbing up the back stick to no great effect. Saul, who's dashed through the leagues from non-league Cheshire not so very long ago via Oldham, where he first met up with Ian Dowie, into the Premier League now.
That's right, he came from Southampton. It's very important, I think, for Crystal Palace set pieces to really work them well. There's no doubt Ian Dowie would have drilled his side. And when you do come to places like Old Trafford, you have to try and make the most of them. You're not going to get a lot of chances, certainly from set pieces. I see Palace having 1 or 2 come their way.
Keane forward, Smith with a touch, Roy Keane looking again. Spread wide for Giggs. Dabbed in again by Keane. Smith held it up for Rooney, and it came back to Fletcher, who lashed it over. And Fletcher is still to score his first goal for Manchester United in the 50 games he's now played.
Crystal Palace trying to clear their lines. A lot of bodies in the way, certainly defending deep. All they could do is give away a corner.
Nice touch off Granville, and Giggs has come over from left to right to impart in-swing. It's Giggs' delivery, and it is a comfortable take for the Hungarian keeper, who's in a hurry to get on with things too. Routledge battling for it and winning a throw. It's the wide right man to whom Tony was referring, with Colker the Finn on the other flank. It's a big white blanket that Crystal Palace are looking to throw across the Old Trafford midfield here. Fletcher couldn't take it. Hughes tiptoes out until was caught from behind by you-know-who.
Well, Roy Keane will certainly want to patrol the midfield, but Michael Hughes, the experience in this Crystal Palace midfield, of course, alongside Watson and Rihalati. Something to say about that, but you're right. I think packing that midfield for Crystal Palace, trying to gain control of the midfield is what they will endeavour to do. Against Mr. Keane, that's going to be a tough ask.
Sorondo with the free kick. Johnson is a natural target. Isn't the only one in there, though, and Silvestre had his work cut out with Rihalati breathing down his neck, and was happy to yield a corner, forward for which comes Sorondo. One each inside the first 5.5 minutes of the game at Old Trafford. Routledge delivers. Rihalati was throwing himself in there after Johnson made contact at the near post. United are glad to come away with fortune. Ferdinand. Keane. Just carried up by Colker. Digging out a long ball for Giggs. Scholes. Fortune for Scholes again. Scholes for Rooney, his sort of range. Thought better of it. Keane dabs it in. Smith overhead. And Scholes tumbling to effect a volley, which the goalkeeper clutched okay.
There you see it, the ball, difficult ball in for Paul Scholes to deal with. It's bouncing high, gets it on target. But again, Crystal Palace have to be careful. They really are conceding a lot of ground. They're going back in and retreating into the box, which is fine as long as you win that ball. But when you don't, as you saw there, the chance comes on goal.
Giggs. In for Smith, back for Scholes. Keane. Fortune. Header out by Fitzhall. Mikael Silvestre. Languid run from Smith, who's got it back. And it could come for Fletcher, who's gone over and has got a penalty. Steve Dunn is not for turning. Danny Granville is not impressed. His suggestion to Fletcher is that the Scot played for it.
Well, initially Emerson Boyce pushes the ball across. Here we see Fletcher. For me, he just tumbles. Granville puts a foot out. But unfortunately, from the referee's point of view, if you don't touch that ball, always a dangerous ploy. Steve Dunham's given the penalty. Whether Fletcher's got a touch or not, it doesn't matter.
The last thing that Crystal Palace needed inside the first 10 minutes at Old Trafford was to see this young fella with 12 yards between him and goal. It is Wayne Rooney for Manchester United. It's a fine save, a really good stop by the Hungarian, plunging to his right. It is a headline moment in his life, and it is a let-off for Crystal Palace.
Well, it is, and for me, justice was done. Wayne Rooney, hard and low to the keeper's right. The Kurai read that one really well. Not a badly struck penalty, not quite in the corner. That gave enough time for the keeper to get across, and that was a good stop.
And whatever else happens in Gabor Kirai's professional career, as he gets grey and old, he'll be able to tell his grandchildren that at Old Trafford, in front of nearly 70,000 people, he stopped a penalty from the young hotshot of English football at the time.
I'm sure that'll be one that he will recount many times, and rightly so. Excellent save.
Now here's Johnson at the other end. Kolka. Crystal Palace perhaps lifted by their dab of luck, and that's a not unreasonable ball into the box for Watson from Kolka. Giggs. Rooney's all charged up now, you can see it. He is in debt. He owes his teammates something now. That's certainly how he will feel. Stuck on 7 goals for the season. Look at how Kirai set himself. Hands behind his back, dived relatively late. Took no liberties with the law.
No, he certainly didn't. And he made Wayne Rooney pick his spot. A lot of the times you do see the keeper move early. Makes it easy for the penalty taker to slot it in the opposite direction. But not that time. It was an excellent save. And I think justice was done as well. The penalty for me was very soft. Fletcher did look for it, went down very easily.
Ferdinand, Rooney. Fletcher by Granville. That's going to be an interesting personal rivalry to observe now for the rest of the game. Smith. Smuggled out by Granville for Kolka. Johnson's all on his own up front for Palace. And Manchester United can come again. Neville. Ferdinand. Fletcher. Smith. Fletcher. Pivotal player in the early moments of the game. Forward by Keane. Fletcher's not stopped moving. Granville with an uncertain clearance, with which he got a shade lucky. And Routledge, with Boyce's assistance, gets it clear.
Seeing certainly is a lot of possession, aren't you, from Manchester United, but Crystal Palace won't be too bothered. I think they know when they come to places like this.
Here's Giggs. Oh, he's away from Boyce. And he's prepared to take on the fullback again. And he's done him again. And Giggs has delivered and Fletcher's coming in. Well, that was Giggs of 10 or 15 years ago. Twinkle-toed teenager having fun.
Well, he was determined to turn Emerson Boyce inside and out. Come onto his right foot. No, I'll come back around the outside. And then eventually, excellent right foot cross. Fletcher didn't quite read that one. Maybe if he gambled a little earlier, he could have been in at the far post.
Well, there are times when Ryan Giggs still makes himself as watchable as any individual in English club football. Comes face to face with some new upstart fullback and thinks, I'll have you.
Well, certainly Emerson Boyce, I think, since he's come from Luton, he really has played very well. Hasn't looked out of place, but he's got a tough ask this afternoon.
Rooney. Corner last off Saronda. Certainly didn't intend any insult to Emerson Boyce, but it'll be a red letter day in his life if he can live with Ryan Giggs and indeed live with anything that Alex Ferguson chooses to use from his arsenal. Confident catch by Kirai, who's having a happy evening today. Kolka, Routledge. So Kolka, having cropped up on the right-hand side, now has a long journey back to his natural habitat.
Crystal Palace certainly aren't frightened by coming to Old Trafford. Looking very positive. We've seen a couple of times now when the keeper catches the ball, he's looking to fling it forward at every opportunity, and twice he's flung it forward very quickly. Very important though for Crystal Palace. The midfield's 5. There we saw Kulka on the right-hand side, but they must try and support Andy Johnson up front. And so far, they've done pretty well. They know they have to defend in numbers, but when they do get good possession of the ball, try and commit one of the midfielders forward.
Rio Ferdinand, Londoner himself, of course, against opponents from the capital. Fletcher. Scholes, a little think about it. Giggs. Crystal Palace do have an abject record on this ground. Ryan Giggs has performed against them in the Premiership before. Palace haven't taken a single point from Old Trafford in 3 previous Premiership visits. They last won an old First Division game here some 15 years ago. Bright got a couple of goals for Palace that day in December 1989. Who remembers Russell Beardsmore? He got Manchester United's goal that day. And plain old Mr. Alex Ferguson got an awful lot of stick from fans that evening, thinking that he wasn't the man for the job. Later that season he would win his first trophy in an FA Cup final against Crystal Palace. Rooney. Fletcher. Fortune forward from left full back. Scholes showed. Keane wants it. Keane threading it in and getting a second go. Too much depth on the cross.
Well, you can certainly see the pattern of the game. Crystal Palace back in numbers in their box. Just think at the moment, giving too much possession away too easily. You can hear the bench of Crystal Palace trying to tell their midfield to get nice and tight. There the possession shows. Nearly 3/4 of the play Manchester United have had. I'm sure Ian Dowie's side will be happy to get through the first 15 minutes without conceding a goal.
Jump, jump!
Kolka. Watson. Johnson. Yunus Kolka once more. Running at Neville. So doing well to keep the ball for as long as he did before being impossibly outnumbered. Keane for Fletcher. And Allowed Bramble to get a boot in, but Ferdinand read it and quickly picked out Rooney. And Rooney is faced by Hughes, and Rooney has hung it up, but beyond all comers. Routledge. And a slack touch from Roy Keane. Rooney stuck on the 7 goals this season. The natural target of Ferdinand's instant instinctive pass. Made life hard for Hughes. Fortune. And here is Fletcher. On the side of Colker, but without an apparent Manchester United chaser. One from Eunice Colker. One by Ferdinand. Manchester United having to exercise a degree of patience here now.
No, I think that's exactly right. You've got to admire Yendawi's side. They do work very, very hard for one another. We just saw Colker in the left-back position. Both wide men will be helping out their full-backs. They know that to survive in this league, they need to work as a team. That's what they have done. They're giving themselves a chance this season. Not many other people did. With Andy Johnson up front scoring the goals, if the rest of the team can work and give 110%, then they just might do it. But at the moment, they're finding it tough to kick the ball, aren't they? They're giving it away far too easily. And you just feel the pressure is building and building. It's going Manchester United's way.
Neville. Keane. Scholes. Rooney. Hughes, the hungry tackler. Routledge overcooking his pass. Neville. Fortune. Giggs exchanging with Fortune. Fortune getting the cross roll. And there's just a sense that Old Trafford is mighty impatient here. As much the players as those who pay to watch them. It's a little quiet, and there are taunts to that effect from the Crystal Palace fans.
There's a few sighs and groans, aren't there? A couple of the times the ball's got wide, and you have to say the delivery hasn't been quite there. Going harmlessly long. Once or twice Ryan Giggs has come in off the wide left position. Not really got on the end of it, so you're right. But Ian Dale will be absolutely delighted. Try and quell the crowd. You come to places like this, make sure, get the crowd quiet, you've done something right, and then try and work your way into the game.
Which is what they're doing now. Routledge having prompted Johnson forward. Boyce. Hughes. Fitzhall. Granville. Colker. Rihalati. Granville. Palace's best spell of possession is spoilt by a rather careless offside. But they have a game plan, and they're using it well. Ian Dowie got a lot of compliments, strangely enough, from Sir Alex Ferguson. Well, perhaps not strangely, after the job his team did on Arsenal in a game we saw at the start of last month. They did something similar then, packed to midfield and got a job done, and even managed to score a goal that day, having fallen behind. Sir Alex may not be so willing to dish out the compliments if a similar job is done on his side. Keane, clever ball, chance now, 1-0 Manchester United, Paul Scholes. And to say it's been coming is perhaps to understate. Manchester United's greed for possession is finally turned into something tangible, And Paul Scholes right now is in a rich vein of goal-scoring form.
Well, Crystal Palace just go to sleep from the corner kick. You can pack the box with as many players as you want, but when you've got someone like Paul Scholes, he steps inside beautifully. Cool, calm and collected, and you're right. Great goal-scoring form. It's a wonderful ball through, steps inside, and what a finish with his right foot. Keeper, absolutely no chance. It was coming. You just thought Crystal Palace may have weathered the storm. None of it. The Old Trafford faithful absolutely delighted now.
That is 5 in his last 6 games for Paul Scholes. A goal against Charlton, 2 at West Bromwich Albion, 1 against Southampton, and now 1 midway through the first half of this Barclays English Premier League game at Old Trafford against Crystal Palace. And Manchester United, who've had a penalty saved already, now have a lead. And what it does, amongst other things, is it kind of renders Crystal Palace's plan A redundant.
Well, that's exactly right, and I'll be interested to see what Ian Dowie now does, because I'm not sure how many plans Crystal Palace actually have got for the players at their disposal. You know, it's not going to be easy. Their game plan certainly was to hit Manchester United on the break and keep it tight, but being 1 down, they've got to come out of their shell. And just instances like that, when you get set pieces, got to make more of them. It's a straight ball, but that man there, Paul Scholes, has put his side 1 up, and I think given Ian Dowie a bit of a problem.
He's another man, in a way, like Alan Shearer, whose decision to pack in international football, which I'm sure was endorsed by his manager, is being vindicated by form over the course of the season.
Well, I think you make a really good point there, because there's no doubt the amount of games the top internationals do play is bound to take a toll, and when you've got someone like Alan Shearer and Paul Scholes at the top for many, many years, I think it's the right decision, and the benefit will be to Paul Scholes himself as well as to Alex Ferguson.
Free kick against Michael Hughes. This is actually Manchester United's 30th game of this season. They have played more matches than any other club. Scholes. In the top flight, that is, of course. Keane. Nervously out by Boyce. Hughes couldn't take it. Keane hit it. It's due a goal. He's been stuck on 49 Manchester United goals for an awfully long time now. The skipper hasn't scored this calendar year.
Unfortunately, bad clearance from Palace. Roy Keane hits it high, wide and handsome. Who's to say he won't get on the score sheet, though? Back in his favoured midfield role. No doubt he'll be driving to the very end.
All of the attempts at goal have been Manchester United attempts at goal. Sorondo. Palace did go behind to Arsenal and quickly snapped back. There's plenty of heart in their side. They're not beaten the moment they fall behind. Sylvester's clearance. Smith working for it. Fitzhall crashed into him, and the free kick is given against Alan Smith, who's not one to accept a contentious decision without entering into a little bit of debate.
There's no more wholehearted player than Alan Smith, is there? Old Trafford faithful absolutely love him. Yeah, I think it would have been unfortunate to concede the free kick, but the 25 minutes gone now. No really time for panic for Crystal Palace. No point putting another striker on and trying to get this goal back. There's plenty of time in the game left. Still keep it nice and tight.
Campbell's free kick. Keane characteristically hurling his frame in for the course, but at the expense of a corner. So sharply taken free kick by Palace. Keane was awake and alert. Routledge playing it in. Sorondo's header hit his own man and then lifted back into the net by Danny Granville, and Palace, out of the blue, have an equaliser at the Stretford end.
Well, Wayne Routledge advantage. We said before, set pieces, I think, could be their way to get a goal. Well, I didn't think it was going to be this quick. Danny Granville just flings out the right boot. He was the player that supposedly gave away the penalty earlier in the game. Well, he's made amends in more ways than one.
The right boot of the left full-back who used to play for Manchester City. On behalf of the rank outsiders, Crystal Palace, who have barely had a kick inside the Manchester United half. And it is one each, and Old Trafford is stunned and silenced. And they have to do it again. Fletcher, Keane, Giggs with the cross, Smith round the back, Granville over his own crossbar. One way or another, he's in the mix.
Well, he's certainly had an interesting afternoon so far. And here again, Routledge's just caught a little bit too far forward. The ball gets slipped in behind. Giggs with a wonderful ball in. Granville over the bar.
Well, what you have to say about Crystal Palace, and everybody has been saying it since the season began, is that they have plenty of pluck.
They most certainly do. And they're going to need it when they do come to places like this. But they're not phased. Got a goal down. And hit back straight away. And now that's happened against Manchester United. And of course Arsenal. You have to admire their spirit, and here they come again.
Routledge, prepared to have a run. Support from the man of the moment, Granville. Pushed out by Ferdinand. Gary Neville. Down by Sorondo, whose header from the set piece, by the way, was key to the scoring of the goal. Routledge with nowhere to go. Sorondo sliding back in. Johnson's come to get it. It's a throw.
There's Andy Johnson. We haven't seen much of Sorondo, have we? We saw him 20-25 minutes against Arsenal, which doesn't last too long, but what the impression I got, he was very impressive. And there we've seen so far a couple of sliding tackles. He's got a lot of experience, helped out with the goal as well. So Popovic is on the bench, Sorondo's in. And just maybe he could become a very important player for Crystal Palace.
Incidentally, that goal for Palace, for Danny Granville, came just after they'd passed the 4-hour mark since their last Premier League goal. So there's a lot of relief in there. And from the other point of view, for Manchester United, it had been comfortably more than 7 hours of playing time since they had last conceded a goal in the Premier League on their own ground. Since Stuart Downing disappointed those supporters by scoring here for Middlesbrough over the first weekend in October. They kept clean sheets against Arsenal, Manchester City, Charlton and Southampton. But now with Quinton Fortune having to go off for treatment, Manchester United's defence has been breached. And it looks as though he's going to have to go off for more than treatment. John O'Shea's going to replace him.
Well, we saw a shot of him with his hands on his face, dismayed. I thought it was because Crystal Palace actually scored, but no. He's actually pulled his hamstring by the looks of things. And having to come straight off, and John O'Shea is coming on. That's one very good replacement, though. He's played in many positions, John O'Shea. Been very impressed with him, and no doubt he'll slot in at left back.
Hit long by Watson. Johnson squeezed out of it. That is the loss of the lone striker. Neville, Fletcher, Rooney, Ferdinand. Rooney's pass was behind Fletcher. Hughes took it away, Johnson couldn't gather it. Keane insisted on having it back. He tends to get what he insists upon. Smith. Launched down by Scholes for Keane, and Keane right across the face of goal. Half a yard in advance of Wayne Rooney. And Boyce cleared, and Watson can break for Palace. Hughes. Hofstra was well positioned. Keane can roll it out. Rooney faced by Granville, supported by Scholes. Keane has lumbered forward. Fletcher kept it rolling. Neville has got forward from fullback. Fitzhall across. Sorondo a little uncomfortably and a little hurriedly. It's the Fletcher for the throw, and now Manchester United can affect the change that had already been indicated. John O'Shea, the Irishman, coming on in place of South Africa's Quinton Fortune.
Certainly Quinton Fortune will be very disappointed having to go off injured. And we talked before about the players missing, but the players coming in, well, so they want to be part of this setup. They were coming in giving 110%. Fletcher on the right, he'll want to impress. Obviously full internationals in their own right, so it's a very, very strong side Manchester United have out. Unfortunately, Quinton Fortune is playing no more part of it.
Should be a disappointment for those of you watching us in South Africa today, amongst whom I'm sure will be many English cricket fans, having enjoyed your day in Port Elizabeth. Mr. Strauss happens to be watching. Congratulations, sir. Here's Ryan Giggs for Manchester United. Boyce got in a long leg.
It's going to be a really good challenge from Emerson Boyce with Ryan Giggs. Very important that Boyce keeps his eye on the ball, although difficult to do when Ryan Giggs is flying at you, his body weaving from left to right.
Scholes. On by Keane. Now for the first time in an offensive sense, John O'Shea. Keane. Decent drive, very good save. Very good save, had a lot of ground to make, the goalkeeper there. And having kept out a penalty from 12 yards, he's kept out something fairly stinging from 20 here.
It really was an excellent save. His left hand just did enough. That's the problem when Crystal Palace do sit deep. The shot is on from 20 yards, and Roy Keane took up the offer.
Manchester United's fifth corner, Giggs with it. Away as far as Scholes, you know what's coming, Paul Scholes! Another fine save by the Hungarian Kirai.
And once again, a wonderful strike. Comes to Scholes' right boot. You know it's going to be a good strike. Michael Hughes is there on the line. Everyone else had pushed out. Thankfully, his keeper came to the rescue.
Scholes cross, 2-1. Alan Smith for Manchester United. The lead is re-established. He was going to take some beating, the Hungarian keeper, but he was helpless as Smith rose to splendid effect, and Manchester United have their lead back.
Well, an absolutely sublime header. There had to be something special to beat this keeper. Well, that was special. Right in the top corner. Hughes this time, even if he jumped another foot, still wouldn't have got there.
Well, Alan Smith's last 3 goals in the Premier League have come in 1-1 draws at Blackburn against Middlesbrough and at Fulham on Monday night. That won't be the case this time. He has given them a 2-1 lead with his second goal in 5 days. He now has 9 for the season. And in the continued absence of Ruud van Nistelrooy and Louis Saha, and as I mentioned at the start, don't forget, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have been part of Manchester United's mix, all things being reasonable to him. In the absence of all of those, there's a great responsibility on Alan Smith, and it's a burden he's proud and pleased to shoulder. From the touchline, incidentally, of Quinton Fortune. There's a problem with his left knee, apparently. The degree of the problem remains unclear. Hughes. Rooney was back doing his fair share of the donkey work. Keane kept it rolling forward. Giggs has looked up. He's run away from Routledge, but not from Boyce. He's happy to find touch.
Well, that was better, Ryan Giggs. At pace, coming towards it. That time some Boyce stuck out the left leg. He did pretty well, and nothing's on. Put it into the stands.
Smith. Key. Here comes Gary Neville. Well watched by Colker. Just once every so often Gary Neville comes steaming up into that sort of position from right back. Colker did well.
He certainly did, but all of a sudden the United players are steaming forward, aren't they? Both fullbacks are piling forward. Really trying to get another goal, and if they do, I have to say, Crystal Palace got a mountain to climb.
Scholes again. Johnson levered off it by Ferdinand. I wonder what view officialdom will take of that. No foul. Fletcher. Keane. Giggs, O'Shea. He's landed it on the roof of the net, John O'Shea. I'm quite sure that that was his intention.
Here you see, again, fullback overlapping O'Shea this time. Left foot cross, just quite couldn't get rounded enough to bring it back into play.
O'Shea hasn't scored a goal since the weekend before Christmas of last year to Tottenham. Well by Aki Rihalati. Manchester United in the mood to get it shifted forward quickly. Scholes. Smith.
Crystal Palace need to try and get a touch of this football. It's been a long time now that Manchester United have been in possession. They've already come back once extremely quickly from being a goal down. Can they do it again? But at the moment, they need to get the ball first.
Colker. Hughes. Colker. Away from Fletcher. Colker's cross, Carroll backpedaling. And Johnson really not receiving what he wanted to receive.
But again, you've got to admire this side, haven't you? They really are a plucky outfit. Colker picks the ball up. First time they've got it for a long time. Tries to put the ball in across the 6-yard box. And you see Andy Johnson's made the run. Unfortunately, the delivery wasn't quite what he wanted.
Playing his 100th game for Crystal Palace today, Andy Johnson.
What I do like about Johnson as well, with the system that Crystal Palace play, he's got to be patient. He's got to wait for his chance. He knows one will come. More often than not, he's put them away. So certainly it's going to be tough today against Silvestre and Ferdinand, two very, very quick players as well. But there's no doubt if he does get a chance, he'll be confident that he can take it.
Rooney. Figures aren't quite as stark as they were a short while ago. Nevertheless, Manchester United with more or less 2/3 of possession, and indeed with 2/3 of the goals to show for it. In addition, having had a penalty saved, wonderfully saved by Kirai, who's made at least two other excellent stops, without which United would already be over the hills and far away. Keane. Neville took it back. Rooney twisted. Hughes was eager. Rihalati. Sorondo. Hall. Rihilati. One again by Hall. Neville away from Kolka. Sorondo. That's a lovely take from Ryan Giggs, who kept on dancing. Rooney's just offside. From a neutral perspective, never mind a Manchester United perspective, a little bit of a shame, because there was some delightful stuff that went before here.
It really was. Wonderful one-touch play, Smith to Ryan Giggs. But look at Sorondo there. Just stood up, and that is very, very close. But the referee's assistant has given it. Really was good one-touch play from Manchester United.
Watson. To play in the first half at Old Trafford. Johnson pursuing it, Silvestre across. Crystal Palace have come back once. Dare they do it again? Routledge has a lovely pair of feet. Giggs is doing his fair share of the tackling. Boyce has stayed forward, adventurously from a Palace point of view. Hughes. Kolka. Sorondo. Crystal Palace fans are having fun. Every touch of the ball is cheered. Mentioned at the start, they're just thrilled to be in this league. And regardless of results, they are determined to have a season-long party. Just might be that one season's party turns into another. It's their side are doing all right overall. Certainly exceeding expectations. Karai giving them a heart-and-mouth moment. But that little passage will have done something for the possession statistics. Here's Giggs. Boyce stood his ground. Routledge. Hughes. Watson. Rihilati. Shows great assurance, this. No sign of any Palace panic. And Kolka is fouled by possibly slightly frustrated Fletcher. Manchester United aren't used to being teased in their own backyard.
No, they're certainly not. With their own medicine there, Crystal Palace knocking the ball around very confidently. And can they just make an equaliser before half-time? It's another set piece, sending the big men forward.
Johnson has launched it in. Shea got above Sorondo. Giggs can run it away as we run into what will just be one additional minute at the end of the first half. What a beautifully watchable half it's been. Manchester United have done some bright, inventive things. Crystal Palace have stuck stolidly to their plan and a little bit more. They've had a shot at goal, and by George, it went in. I think it's right to say that Roy Carroll hasn't made a save.
Certainly hadn't had a lot to do, has he, Roy Carroll? He defended pretty well. Even so, it's the way Crystal Palace play. Got to stay concentrated. They have players that can score out of nothing. But you must say the possession has been with Manchester United. If they use it better in the second half, you can certainly see one or two more goals going in.
Hughes spreading it. Kolka. Granville. Last chance to make an impression. Heading past the one added minute now. Steve Dunn's had a look at his watch, and enough is enough for now for him. And what an engaging contest that has been. Alan Smith's headed goal is the one that separates the sides, but much went before it. Manchester United had a penalty saved, Danny Granville having yielded that penalty with a challenge on Darren Fletcher. Wayne Rooney was denied by Kirai. Ian Dowie would have been delighted, though, that once Paul Scholes had put his team behind, they fought back with great fortitude through Danny Granville to draw level, only for Smith to spoil the plan and to give him some thinking and talking to do during the break, which appears now with the scoreline at Old Trafford: Manchester United 2, Crystal Palace 1. Palace have all the problems. Ian Dowie told his players to offer Manchester United ultimate respect, but not to get starstruck. I think they've achieved that. They've played with an assurance and maturity which suggests they feel they belong here. Nevertheless, Tony, they didn't have a lot of the ball in the first half, and they've got to find a way to score a goal again.
That's exactly right. They need to bounce back very quickly. There's no way they are awestruck. They really have put themselves about, and they've tried their best, but of course, you are playing against a very good Manchester United side who do keep possession of the ball very well.
There's Routledge, got there before O'Shea, and then Hughes with the cross. It's 2-2! Inside 45 seconds at the start of the second half, Yunus Kolka has equalised again for Crystal Palace. It's extraordinary.
This team just do not know when to lie down. Absolutely fantastic. And here we see ball come out to the right-hand side. Routledge just plucks it out of the air. A lovely little flick to Yunus Kolka. What a beautiful clip-in, from Michael Hughes. As Kolka on the end of it. But what a response this is. Ian Dowie no doubt said his side that they're still in this. A good start. Well, they've got a good start. And Kolka has put it to the left-hand side of Carroll. Carroll, absolutely no chance. And Palace are back in this game.
He picks his places, that chap, as well. Yunus Kolka has scored 2 goals in English football, 1 at Anfield and 1 at Old Trafford. And he has now scored 50 league goals across Europe over the course of his career, the Finn. That is one that I'm sure he will remember with great fondness. And it has stung Old Trafford again. They just will not be beaten, Palace. Not until the final whistle is blown. Manchester United have to do it for a third time. Scholes has played it through, and Rooney's onside, and Kirai has pulled off another top-class save of a different type to the previous ones, but equally important. He's lost it this time, and it's dropped in. And Paul Scholes, as Manchester United noses back in front, and the Hungarian, having been a hero, may find that questions are asked of his movement off the line here. We'll see. Paul Scholes is the scorer.
Well, there, Rooney slips, goes through, and you're right, Kirai makes an excellent save. Down low with his right boot, but as the ball comes back in, got to be keeper's ball. Instead, it's an awful mistake. Should really punch this one. It actually comes off
goal.
Boyce, and it ends up in the back of his own net. And how disappointing is that after getting themselves back into the game? You certainly wouldn't rule them out, but can they do it a third time?
If they do, it would be extraordinary. Just to clear that up, I think, Tony, we ought to. I think we have to say that's an Emerson Boyce own goal. Paul Scholes did look a little bit sheepish when he was being offered all the congratulations, and it's clearly come last off the unfortunate fullback.
That's right, and now we know why, but keeper went crashing in to Paul Scholes, but there's the man who unfortunately has scored in the wrong net. Emerson Boyce, and Alex Ferguson puffs the cheeks and thinks, right, now we're back in front again. Can we put this game to bed? Well, this is Crystal Palace, and they will not give up.
Rod Emerson Boyce has never scored a goal for Crystal Palace. He's just got one against them. The last goal he scored was for Luton against Bristol City in April in front of 6,000 people. 10 times as many. I've seen him putting Dowie's side behind again. And he must wonder what to think. So proud of so much that they're doing, but they're in trouble again here. They're 4-2 behind, and that unquestionably is a goal that belongs to Scholes.
Well, I think we can safely say you're quite right. Paul Scholes has scored that one. All of a sudden, Crystal Palace got themselves back in the game. Now they've had a mad 60 seconds, and they've conceded 2 goals, and wonderful free from Scholes. Look at this, first touch with the right, finish with the left.
It It is a football match which is verging on the ridiculous. It is certainly a start to the second half, which makes you want to pinch yourself and say, is this really happening? Paul Scholes has a couple. He's got a new young fan. He's a happy chap, and he is now scoring over the last 6 games at a rate of a goal a game. 6 in 6 for Scholes, and 6 goals inside the first 50 minutes of the game for those who've paid to go into Old Trafford this evening. One way or another, they're being entertained. Hughes. Well, Crystal Palace are going to have to be brave now. Colker. Aimed in at Johnson, who's won his header. And so is Ferdinand. It came out to Rihilasi. They wouldn't dare, would they? Johnson.
I was just about to say that surely they can't come back from this, but I thought better of it, because you just don't know. Absolutely wonderful Crystal Palace. Straight from the kickoff. Got themselves back into the game, but unfortunately that just got Manchester United angry. And now 4-2 up. I think they were just certainly thinking about the telling off they would have got in the dressing room from Sir Alex Ferguson, but they've responded really well and now find themselves 2 goals ahead.
But they have a corner. And Routledge has taken it. And Sorondo got up. And Fletcher, with assistance from Keane, can sort it out defensively from Manchester United's point of view. Maybe that when they come to reflect on this game, Palace may deem Yunus Kolka's goal in the opening seconds of the second half one very bad tactical error.
You're quite right, and it's interesting. I've played in many games and gone to places where you know you're going to be up against it. Well, you score nice and early, well, you end up losing 4-1 or 5-1, and unfortunately in the second half Crystal Palace have done exactly that.
Giggs running for fun. Ryan Giggs! Oh! Kirai threw out an arm. It was an unconventional save, but it worked.
Well, it doesn't matter how you save them, as long as you do. And here, well, it's like the old Ryan Giggs. Come inside Emerson Boyce, and he's off. There's no catching him. Takes it to his favoured left foot. Excellent strike, and a bit of an elbow save from Kirai, as you see it. But that will do.
It's great fun to watch the goalkeeper. He's been brilliant at times, elastic today. Sort of made-up save, the last one. Here's Giggs. Kolka stuck with him. A great improvising goalkeeper, Gabor Kirai. We'll look back on this match with many mixed emotions. It's with a deeper corner. Bounced out for Johnson. He's prepared to take on Fletcher. Fletcher's not prepared to be taken on. And O'Shea rolls it out. Ferdinand, Fletcher, Scholes. It's been 3 or 4 minutes since a goal now. Keane.
You're quite right, it's all action, isn't it? 7 minutes of the second half, been absolutely amazing. But surely now Crystal Palace must try and bring it forward yet again. 2 goals behind. If Manchester United just keep possession of the ball like they did towards the end of the first half, it can make it very tough for Palace to get back into this game.
Still accurate report. The Roy Carroll still hasn't made a save. He's bent over and picked the ball out of his net twice. Fitzhall. Emerson Boyce. He's missed a lot of Kolka, but Kolka has responded. Granville forward. Watson for Hughes. Hughes for Rihilati. Boyce. Hughes. Realizing, nice idea. Just tangled himself up. And Keane ran it out. Really stumbled. Momentum was lost, momentum which he now can re-inject. Smashing ball from Rooney for Giggs. Giggs can have fun with Boyce again now, and Giggs has delivered to within a hair's breadth of the hat-trick hunting Scholes.
Well, I'm impressed with Ryan Giggs today. He does look on top form again. And here, left foot, look at this ball, whizzed across the 6-yard box. Scholes just thinks, well, if I committed myself there, that could have been my hat-trick.
Ryan Giggs today starting a game for Manchester United for the 550th time. The extraordinary thing about him is he appears to be getting younger again. Johnson. Routledge. Johnson. That's a nice idea, and Routledge has kept it going. O'Shea has held him up. O'Shea's a big strapping lad though from Ireland, but he stood his ground, and now the little Welsh wizard is off in twinkle toes fashion again. Ryan Giggs, catch me if you can. Ryan Giggs, oh, straight at the goalkeeper. He has a right boot too, you know.
Absolutely wonderful. Excellent run from Ryan Giggs yet again. Where have them years gone? Whatever pills he's taken, can we have a few? All of a sudden, he's come alive. He's had a wonderful game. Here again, puffs the cheeks, right foot. Excellent shot.
Well, the old brigade are doing it for Manchester United. Paul Scholes, 30 now. Ryan Giggs, 31. Comes to everyone in time. But they're not done yet. It's almost a remember me performance from Ryan Giggs. I can still play, you know. And boy, you can.
So I think that's quite right. Lots of rumours about Ryan Giggs. There was something in the papers about Newcastle. And there's no doubt that Ryan Giggs would love to end his career here at Manchester United. And this performance says it all. He really is a valuable player to Manchester United.
Keane. Dabbed in again for Keane. And Keane across goal. And Boyce out almost from under the crossbar.
Well, thankfully this time, Emerson Boyce cleared it to safety, not his own net. Roy Keane wants to get on that score sheet.
Scholes. Not enough space out of which to dispatch a meaningful shot. Fitzhall did his job well. It is becoming one of those games at the end of which... Oh, here comes Keane. And out by Kirai again, unconventionally, and back in by Fletcher, who made no sort of pure contact, but Kirai excels once more, and I was about to make the point, it's one of those games at the end of which we're going to be saying, on another day, it could have been 10.
I think you're quite right, but it still might be 10. Unconventional saves the order of the day. And Fletcher, unfortunately, just pulled his shot a little wide, but hard to see it remaining at 4-2. Crystal Palace now really are struggling to get any rhythm going forward. It's all Manchester United, and they are hungry for goals.
O'Shea. An untidy ball forward, out of keeping with what has come before from Manchester United so far in this second half, which, despite conceding a goal inside the first minute of it, Manchester United have since dominated. Ben Watson. Down by Johnson, forward by Rihilati. That's sharp again from Palace. Routledge caught from behind by O'Shea, who protests his innocence. It will be a Palace ball. One of those occasions which simply underlines the proud boast of the Barclays English Premier League that it is certainly the best to watch in the world. Watson's given that some clobber. But, Scholes won't be knocked over. One redhead giving it to the other. Johnson. By Sylvestre. Cushioned back by Smith. He hasn't given up chasing it. Fitzhall's back pass. Plenty of time for Karai. Giggs, he's digging into his repertoire now. Well, he didn't find O'Shea, and O'Shea was penalised. Hughes, Colker, Granville. Half an hour for Crystal Palace to climb a mountain here. What you know about them is that they will give it a go. Granville's ball in, Johnson onside. And Johnson's cross, and it's come out to Routledge. And Carroll did have to make a good smothering save there, and he was aided by Rio Ferdinand in smuggling it away. First time the Manchester United goalkeeper has muddied his knees in anger today, and here come Manchester United off the back of his save with Paul Scholes in search of a hat-trick, and Darren Fletcher. And Sorondo nudged it behind for a corner. Very good save by the Irishman.
Well, it really was an excellent save. And then we see Andy Johnson getting the left channel. It's a good clip to the far post. Riolati strikes it. Here, Carroll, strong right hand. Fortunately, it went to Rio Ferdinand. Crystal Palace ain't done yet.
Well, what it would have done for the game if Routledge had scored then. Nevertheless, it's given them reason to believe. Scholes in front of the amateur photographers. Keane's up and over.
Well, he looks to the heavens. He's trying his best to score today. It's a good corner kick. Climbs above Everson Boyce. Couldn't quite direct his header on target. But he's played very well as well today. Driving force in midfield. And just looking at the Crystal Palace formation, I think that's always the problem with Palace side, is that when things do go wrong, you know, how do they change things? Now, you certainly can put another striker on, but that just makes their midfield one light, and I do think that's one of their strengths. The five in midfield really do work together as a unit, so there's no doubt that Ian Dowie has seen his side respond once. Can they do it another couple of times before the end of this game?
Against Gary Neville, who's not impressed. Sorondo has come a long way forward, and Hall has come a long way forward. Johnson's waiting for pieces. Rehilati has height as well. Skipper Hughes over the set piece. Sorondo got a touch on it. Had he got a more controlled touch on it, he had a chance to snap at goal there, the Uruguayan. Manchester United not being allowed to rest on their laurels despite a two-goal cushion. Watson. Out. Smith held it up, Giggs didn't stop, Hughes hooked it back Palace's way. Fletcher worked for it, Smith turned. Fletcher, nice long. Tight corner, Manchester United manoeuvred themselves out. And now Ferdinand has time to look. O'Shea, Keane. Giggs. It's a smashing ball for O'Shea. Routledge stuck to him. Keane. Back by Smith for Scholes, and Scholes for Giggs. Hughes away. Keane insists on having it back. Giggs. Just going to have to work to keep that in play. His work he's prepared to do. And he's done his full-back. Neville. Scholes. Fletcher's worked very hard to win that back. It wasn't a particularly helpful return pass from Paul Scholes. Granville, the fouler.
No, it wasn't. Sat off the turf, it went up high. Unfortunately, Granville, trying to be too clever, he's pulled back Fletcher. Here we see it again. Sometimes safety first there, into the stand. He's got himself a yellow card because of it.
Danny Granville then has given away a penalty, scored a goal and got himself booked on the afternoon. It's not a dull one.
His manager said get involved.
Hall with the header out. Back in by Key. Smith high again. Hughes got up with him and headed behind. Crystal Palace, even Crystal Palace, can surely not afford to leak another one here, otherwise their game will be up. Giggs with the corner. And Rio Ferdinand stealing it at the near post, still in search of his first Manchester United goal.
Well, Crystal Palace haven't learnt from the previous endeavours. Corner kick again, it's Rio Ferdinand. And as the ball comes in, just gets underneath it. Can't get it on target, but it's another header to a Manchester United player in the Crystal Palace box.
Ferdinand coaching 90 games for Manchester United now without scoring. Fletcher. It's an inviting ball. Didn't arrive in time to latch onto Giggs' pass across the 6-yard box.
Here we see the speed of Giggs, almost too quick. He's got there, but unfortunately, no other striker could get there. The boys shepherded it away. And it's a good performance, isn't it, really, from both sides. I mean, Crystal Palace, we know they were always going to be up against it. They've responded really well, and they're certainly playing to their maximum what their individual team mates allow, but Manchester United as well, after the shock of getting pegged back to 2-2, they've responded really well.
15-19.
Rooney given a shove by Hall. Manchester United have a free kick. Keane discussing it with the referee. I wonder whether it's one of those can we take it straight away moments. Keane has taken it for Scholes. Haste, less speed required. Kolka watched it. Rihilati has it. Kolka's kept moving and has run away from Giggs in Giggs-like style. Routledge. Kolka. So Routledge entangled with Scholes. And before the free kick, changes. Tom Soars and Vasilis Lakis are coming on respectively for Messrs Rihilati and Hughes.
Well, I certainly think Michael Hughes again had an excellent game, but the legs a little getting weary. He's done particularly well, as has Rihilati. But it's been a tough job for the Crystal Palace midfielders today.
The Greek international and the 18-year-old Soars to inject new energy as Routledge delivers the free kick. Keane with the header out, and Palace with the throw. Johnson. Soars! Not a bad way to introduce yourself, or it might not have been.
Just for a second then, I thought his first touch is going to end up in the back of the net. Would that have surprised me during this game? Probably not.
Not a bit, from a boy whose only previous first-team goal was in the League Cup against Hartlepool. We're talking extremes here. Ian Dowie must wonder what to think. A year in charge of the club this week, Ian Dowie, and what a job he's done. He picked them up when they were flirting with relegation out of what has now become the Championship. And here he is, at least with a reasonable chance of avoiding relegation out of the Premiership. It's been an extraordinary year in the life of Mr. Dowie, and indeed in the life of the football club which he now runs. So Rondo away. Watson. Lakis. Here being implored from the Palace bench to keep going. He did keep going, but he didn't get it back. Boyce. Tackle from O'Shea. Manchester United's ball.
Certainly the changes that Ian Dowie has made, he has kept the same system, which I do think is important for Crystal Palace's style of play, but just give it a bit more energy in that midfield. And certainly Lakis, certainly once or twice before, he has got a bit of talent. He's had many chances to show his ability. Well, he's got one now.
Who dares to be a hero for Crystal Palace here? Scholes has already been one for Manchester United and seeks further glory. Fletcher. Giggs couldn't tiptoe through that time. Here's Johnson. Colker. Asked too much of Johnson.
Don't think Andy Johnson was too best pleased with that one. Overhit the fast Eunice Colker.
It's the last 20 minutes of the game now, and Crystal Palace have to re-find some momentum from somewhere. So United have managed to establish a lead, double the lead, and to a certain degree take the sting out of the piece for a while now. Rooney. Keane. Smith. Neville. Fletcher. Neville. Fletcher. Ready for Keane, who was finding life almost too comfortable. Neville. Rooney. Well, he's done well to lever a crossover, but Karai was alive to it and handled well and set Watson rolling forward. Routledge. Saws. Colker. Ferdinand across. Saws. The shouts of eagles from the travelling fans. Hall. Saws. Boyce. Lakis. Watson. Well, probing from Palace. Boyce against O'Shea. Smith came to get it. Keane.
Certainly so far, Crystal Palace really have given a good account of themselves, but sometimes I do think, as a football manager, you've got to hold your hands up and say, well, we're just up against a better team on the day, and I think this is one of the occasions that Ian Darby will probably say exactly that to his side, because they really have given their all. They've shown great determination. They're certainly not giving up by any means, still trying to come forward, but at times you just think, well, Manchester United have just got too much for them.
Scholes, who has been too much for them. Same could be said of Giggs. He's just been in thrilling form. And Fletcher surrendered it well. Fletcher once more with depth. Down by Soares. By Watson. United now, for the time being, at a stroll. They have only dropped 2 points in 6 Premier League meetings with the Crystal Palace, home and away. And it would appear they are unlikely to spill any more here. O'Shea. Bounced it off Boyce. Keane. Smith. Scholes. Keane. Fletcher. Ferdinand. Rooney. Rooney! That's another fabulous save.
Karate again, this time low down to his right-hand side. Wayne Rooney certainly wants to make up for that penalty miss. He wants to get on the score sheet. Comes inside his left foot. It's an excellent strike. But there's the flying Hungarian again, stopping yet another one. He's had a great game and he's conceded 4 goals.
I'll say it now, but for him it would have been 10. 13 attempts at goal from Manchester United. Giggs with the corner, Smith up, Soares away, Fletcher. Rooney, who's come deep again. As if to lull Crystal Palace and then to sting them. Fletcher trying to flick it on. Soares carrying it clear, and here's Watson for Palace, looking on for Johnson, who was not offside, so who couldn't keep pace with the ball. Keane, Scholes, Neville. Fletcher. Free kick given, and Kolka has emerged. Palace have to do things with a degree of urgency now if they really do believe there's a way back into it. They wouldn't want to be in Sir Alex's dressing room if there does prove to be a way back into it. Here is Giggs. And over comes Boyce.
I think that'll be at the forefront of the Manchester United players' mind. The problem is, as soon as Crystal Palace do try and push forward, you can see the spaces are left open. And the other players are only happy to run into them, especially Ryan Giggs, who I think has had an exceptional game today. He really has played well. And this man here, Wayne Rooney, want to try and get on this score sheet before the end.
Rooney. That was cool enough from Hall. Forward by Lakis. Johnson's all on his own. Keane. Smith. Giggs. Rooney got a piece of it. Turned it wide for Neville. Neville against Kolka. Rooney wants it. He's got it. Ferdinand. He did it Smith. It's come through to Giggs. And Giggs has hung it up. Get her away to Rooney. And Giggs can keep it in play. Manchester United got very lucky then. Rooney's horribly scuffed shot turned into a terrific pass. Boyce can clear. Giggs stabs it down the line. Rooney's after him. Rooney to take on Boyce and to go beyond him, and Rooney has served it up. But Scholes couldn't apply the hat-trick finish. Fletcher back in. Sorondo away. Silvestre long-leggedly, and Ferdinand gets them moving again. It may not come to pass, but there is the feel about this passage of play which suggests the goal isn't too very far away. Scholes has played it through, Giggs is offside.
Well, wonderful play again. It's Wayne Rooney on the left-hand side. Showed him the line. Unfortunately, the gap was too big. Ball got played across. I think Sorondo just did enough to put Paul Scholes off.
Wayne Routledge has been withdrawn by Ian Dowie after a really game effort. On in his place, Wayne Andrews, who must be living a dream just now, a man who started the season with Colchester. Still to start a Premier League game. He's had a bit of flu this week, but he's got up off the bench anyway. Keane, though, for Manchester United. And then Giggs, and wanting to return it to Keane, Granville came between the pair. But they're enjoying playing. The way Manchester United, particularly the vintage players like Keane and Giggs, have in their pomp.
You're quite right, and in their best years, they really did come forward.
Neville's ball in. Source with the header out.
A lot of pace and passion. When they picked the ball up, it was like a wave of red coming at you. I'm sure that's what Crystal Palace have felt this second half.
Giggs, that's delightful. And, Smith lashing it across goal. Sir Alex will have some misgivings about the way his team let go 2 leads, but he's going to get his 3 points, I think. That's the most important thing. This upcoming Christmas games, Bolton visit Old Trafford on Boxing Day, then he goes down to Aston Villa, and then up to Middlesbrough, so he's got 3 teams to face, all of whom are sniffing around the European area. Palace have a very kind fixture list over the festive season from the point of view of travel. They don't have to leave London. They have home games against Portsmouth and Villa, either side of trips to Spurs and Fulham. A lot of footballers' wives who are very happy about that. Fletcher. Scholes. And the flag's up. Giggs with the query.
And there you see it, onside. Difficult for the referee's assistant, but that certainly was onside. Scholes, an excellent ball through, but you're right, the Christmas period is a very important period. You really can make some ground up in a short space of time. Momentum is very important. If you can get a good early result, carry that momentum on. You have to say to Crystal Palace, something like 7 points, 9 points in that period really can make a huge difference. As with Manchester United, 9 points. If Chelsea or Arsenal drop one along the way, suddenly things are getting very tight at the top.
Even in his own defensive third. Ryan Giggs is showing off this afternoon. It's fun to see. Smith. O'Shea. Smith. Scholes. Keane. Really do sense he fancies a goal. Smith, who's got one. Scholes, who's got 2. Keane. Rooney. Oh! What about it? Lovely stuff, just wide.
Well, that would have capped off what's been a fantastic game. It's Wayne Rooney on the right-hand side, a beautiful clipped cross, going for the spectacular. O'Shea was there if he left it, but hey, let's try and get that hat-trick.
while since Crystal Palace have had an attack worthy of the name. They need to be attacking. Rooney has been upended by Fitzhall.
I think probably just out of more frustration at this point of the game. Palace have given a good account of themselves. They've come back extremely well, but just think that class really has told in the end. It's been a very professional performance from Manchester United. After conceding goals twice, they really have turned it on in the second half and looked very good.
Oh, lovely drop of the shoulder. Kirai came out to meet Rooney and got clattered by Rooney in the solar plexus. He's lost a bit of wind.
Here we see it again. He's slid in. Then actually Rooney's stopped, but then decided to just give him a gentle nudge in the chest. Well, Karai's did everything, absolutely everything today. Penalty save, some wonderful saves. A couple of mistakes in there as well. One off his elbow, and now he's injured.
And he's wearing the wall paint that is borrowed from the White Line. He won't forget his evening at Old Trafford in a hurry. Gabor Kirai. All those who've watched him keep goal in those old muddy tracksuit bottoms and forget his performance. Penny for his thoughts. Said a lot of nice things about Sir Alex Ferguson over the last week, and Sir Alex has said a lot of nice things about him. There's a certain sense of a teacher-pupil relationship there. He's been helped by the senior pro in the management game a lot. He's said he hopes to share a glass of wine after the game and learn a little bit more from the master. First, Rooney is seeking to punish him more. Sorondo away.
Just looking in now, there's no doubt he'll be disappointed at the result. No one ever likes losing, but it is important that if you do lose, it's the spirit with how you do lose, and also taking something out of the game. And I think there's a lot to be taken out by the Crystal Palace players. A lot of positives. And going into the Christmas period, I still think there's a lot of confidence that this Crystal Palace can take from this result. As a pure neutral, I must say, it's been wonderfully enjoyable.
There's never been a point when you felt that Crystal Palace have settled for damage limitation. They might just about be reaching it now.
I would have thought there's a lot of tired legs out there as well. When you haven't had the ball, do a lot of chasing. It's a lot easier when you are zipping that ball across the turf. When you haven't got it, you're chasing it, trying to get it back. It really is hard work.
Hard facts, though, for Crystal Palace are that they are being invited back into the bottom three, and that this will be a 7th Premier League game in a row that they haven't won. Doesn't really get any easier. Keane dabs it forward, Hall away. Nice idea from Giggs. Stretford End are asking for Fergie to give him a wave, and he appears to have obliged. 90 seconds of 90 minutes to play. 90 very enjoyable minutes from a neutral perspective, and for the most part from a Manchester United perspective. And here comes Giggs on one last foray through towards Rooney, who couldn't gather it in with the back flick.
Ryan Giggs, every time he picks up the ball, there's one thing in his mind, and that's to run at this Crystal Palace defence. Again, he gives Emerson Boyce the slip. He's inside. This time tries to feed Wayne Rooney, just behind him.
This wasn't the last touch. He has got a corner out of it as we head into the final minute. And something like a vintage performance from Ryan Giggs today. Rooney. Neville. Scholes. First time in the game. It's a feeling of going through the motions now. The business is more or less done. Manchester United need do nothing too ambitious. And Crystal Palace have run themselves sore, often chasing shadows. 10 seconds of 90 minutes to play, and 2 minutes will be added on at the end of that time. Giggs. Away from Boyce, but not from Hall.
Well, we talked about the challenge of Emerson Boyce against Wayne Giggs. Well, Boyce certainly has come off second best, but he'll learn a lot from this encounter. Wayne Giggs, he has been rejuvenated, had an excellent game.
Scholes. Something to ice the cake with, perhaps, from Manchester United. Keane. Giggs. O'Shea! Well, don't you just love it? He does. Manchester United have 5. And John O'Shea has his first goal for a year. Not the prettiest, but you won't find him complaining. What a lovely feed from Giggs here.
It certainly was. It had to be Ryan Giggs. He's just clipped it in. Unfortunately, Fitzhall just stands still. And there, up from left back, John O'Shea swings the left boot. And it ends up going in between the legs of Kurai, which just about sums this game up. 5-2. And he's delighted.
I've always said he has one of the best shins in the league. It was a horrible miss-hit, as impure a contact as was conceivable, but it counts 1 in the book. That's a little bit cruel on Palace, and Manchester United have been vastly superior in front of nearly 68,000. But it's cruel on a team that has tried so hard and contributed so much to the fixture as a whole. And it's lovely to hear the Crystal Palace supporters singing "We're going to win 6-5", which will make for one terrific last few seconds. Here's Rooney. Well, football's meant to be fun, and that was fun. It was a performance from Manchester United somewhere close to vintage. Paul Scholes, somewhere close to vintage. A couple of goals for him, and he played his part in an own goal too. Alan Smith set the ball rolling. Danny Granville got a goal which might have mattered more. Ryan Giggs was just a joy to behold, the way he used to be. John O'Shea's smile was the broadest thing you'll see in Manchester this or any evening. Ian Dowie had a lot to take heart from, but a lot to learn from too. And his goalkeeper gave one of those performances that occur once in a blue moon, with several brilliant saves, including one from Rooney's penalty kick. Giggs just brilliant, and it finished at Old Trafford. Manchester United 5, Crystal Palace 2.